In a world where everyone and their brother has a podcast, one stands alone. It's been called one of the podcasts of all time. Welcome to Internet Killed the Video Store.
So, I should say in advance, Ben is not on the show this week. He is on another cruise, but we do have Gregory on the show to talk about his new album, solo project from PDaddy and the Hyena, under the name of Jophus. And we're recording this before the Oscars, so we should probably just record 2 takes of like, oh my God, Oppenheimer won everything. Oh my God, Oppenheimer didn't win everything. And then we'll just edit whichever one we need to.
That's all we need right there.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the first one, but glad we got the other for safety.
Just in case. But yeah, I mean, I saw something the other day, like the average score across Metacritic, Rotten Tomato, IMDb for February releases is like the lowest in the last 30 years. Like it's been a historically bad month for movies between Madam Web and even the Bob Marley movie apparently isn't very good. I don't know.
So the historically worst month for movies is historically at its worst is what you're saying.
Yeah, like there wasn't another month that was very close to having this many bad movies. Like
wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there'll be a few good ones to pull us out of the depths.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Dune's kicking March off pretty well. We'll get to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you big into the biopics at all? Like, I don't have a whole lot of interest in seeing Marley.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. The music ones in particular, I think, are very uninteresting.
Right.
I know I've said this before, but Walk Hard just broke it for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's how you do it. And you see those same beats in like so many of those movies, even though they're specifically going at like the Johnny Cash one, which is a pretty hilarious movie, but you still see that stuff. It's almost unavoidable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it was big for me in the first place. So after seeing it parodied so well, I'm just like,
When you've got so much archival footage now, like just make a documentary. At least then I can see who's telling me their side of the story instead of just manipulating this mythology around this person. Like the whole Queen thing was another thing where I was like, okay, I don't really need to see all the surviving members say how wild and crazy Freddie Mercury is, but they all just went home to their wives every night and never partied or did drugs.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very believable, but
feels a little disingenuous. Maybe that's what bothers me about it, because I'm totally with you. Like, I'd much rather just watch a documentary, which itself is like, you watch that with a skeptical eye, like what point are they trying to make with this documentary? But when it's a full-on dramatization, I'm not quite sure what to do with that a lot of the time.
No, there's a couple announcements just recently. Antoine Fuqua, the director of Training Day, is making one about Michael Jackson, using Michael Jackson's nephew to play him. So you know that's going to be all tainted with the Jackson glow of mythologizing his whole story, when it seemed like we were pretty close to just being done with that altogether.
Other than like the hardcore
4 or 5 years
fans.
ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? I know it's not called Finding Neverland. That's a Johnny Depp movie, but that whole documentary that came out...
Wasn't it called that?
Was it? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Okay, no. Finding Neverland is Johnny Depp.
That's a Johnny Depp movie, and it's not a Johnny Depp expose. It's like a Peter Pan movie.
No, I'm sure you can find a Johnny Depp expose somewhere.
Yeah, that's a different documentary. Leaving Neverland.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. I don't really know why we got to do that. Like, we know who Michael Jackson is. Do you really need his nephew do an impression of him for his whole career?
He's not someone I want to think about anymore, to be honest.
Right, yeah. And then Sam Mendes is doing like an Avengers team-up movie of each Beatles member getting their own movie released in the same year, and then they're all going to team up for the Beatles movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
They're doing cinematic Beatles universe? The BMU?
Yep. Is anybody going to watch Ringo's movie? Like, what is that going to be?
Man. Ringo is totally the Ant-Man of the Beatles.
I don't know.
Well, I guess they're all bugs, but...
Yeah, no, he'd be like Jonah Hex.
Yeah, or Venom or something.
Is Vince Staples' show like autobiographical, or what is that? I saw it finally came out after he promoted it for years, but...
I wasn't getting the sense that it was autobiographical, though I've only recently started to kind of dig into who Vince Staples is. Like, I didn't know that he was like a gang member and stuff like that. I knew him from like I knew him from Odd Future.
Right.
But yeah. But no, it's like, I think just a comedic riff on his life.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. I watched 2 episodes and it was not funny to me. It was like the humor was like pretty bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad not liking it. Like, I've also just kind of learned about his like kind of rejection of the music industry in a lot of ways, it seems like. Yeah, I think people talk about him as a guy who could have had like a bigger career in music. But it seems like he's kind of gone away from that, or didn't really want to have a big career in music. And so I don't know. I hope he can find some other thing that works for him, but I don't know if comedy is going to be the thing, or acting.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty committed. He popped up, what was that, Abbott Elementary.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. Okay. It's like he's really committing to this. I thought it was maybe just a little one-off thing, but...
I mean, he's charismatic. I like hearing him talk. I've been watching him on podcasts and stuff, and I think he has some interesting stuff to say, but... yeah, I don't know. Maybe is 2 episodes enough of a show?
I don't know. We keep talking about that threshold, don't we?
Keep coming back to that.
Yeah. Speaking of Abbott Elementary, I think we've watched the first 4 episodes of that show like 3 times. Like, is this good? I don't know. It's kind of just on. And then like I finally gave up on it. My wife stuck with it, and I think she ended like season 2. And I'm like, so you like it? And she's like, like it's just there. It's like a white noise comedy machine.
There's an anime that I started watching the other day because I keep getting recommended it by people, and I was like, all right, I'll sit down with this. And then like halfway through the first episode, I was like, wait, I watched like the first 10 episodes of this show. Like I totally forgot about this.
That's never a good sign. Yeah.
No, I bailed.
Well, yeah. So not a lot of good movies. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk any top seeds for our potential March Madness HBO shows?
There might be a few quirks to work out with that. If you want to, if we should look at that, should we tell people what we're doing?
Yeah,
with that?
We do a March Madness bracket tournament every year. In the past, we've done, I think, best TV shows of the 2010s, best music movies, since we just said how much we love those. Wasn't all biopics, in fairness. I think Spinal Tap won. So
hell yeah.
It's either Spinal Tap or Wayne's World, which is probably fitting knowing our audience. Yeah. Last year was 90s albums. Then we did comic book movies. Yeah. So this year, I think the consensus has been that we're going to do the best HBO shows of all time. And there are a lot that I have not seen, so I'm trying to do my best to get everybody in that needs to be in and fairly seated. But who are your like 4 number 1 seeds?
It's not far. I would say we've got 2 out of 4 correct so far.
Okay.
The Sopranos, even though I haven't seen it, I know that it deserves to be there. The Wire, I've seen most of The Wire. And I would say, it deserves to be there based on like season 1 alone. Though I guess maybe you can't do that because, there's a reason Westworld's not so high on this list.
Right.
But Sex and the City, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying I don't know. Like, I've seen that show. I was not super into that show. I know there are a lot of people that it was a big deal for them, so I just don't know. Maybe you should mention how you kind of came up with this draft of seating.
So I basically averaged out the ratings between like Metacritic, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And then if anything stood out weird that was like, I don't know, what was that show Arliss, which I had never heard of, which was like a sitcom HBO ran in the 90s. It's like, okay, that doesn't need to be like a top 8 or even like top 10 show, because I don't know a single soul who's mentioned that to me in my lifetime.
Right. Yeah.
And it ran during my lifetime. So so we tried to adjust some stuff. That's what we're trying to figure out now, like where the seating should be. I think I went with Curb and Sex and the City as ones, just because they seem to have more of like the legacy. Maybe it's just the longevity.
That was the other one I was going to mention, because we've got Curb as a 1 seed, which again, I just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think we gotta switch one of them out for Game of Thrones, even though it totally shit the bed at the end. Like,
think so? Okay.
It had so many solid seasons. It was a cultural sensation in the way that Curb has not been. Like,
yeah, I think I'm going with length.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's that, but like, yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't think it makes sense not to put Game of Thrones as a 1 seed, even though it probably won't make it to the end, and I'm okay with that because, yeah, it got really rough at the end. But, dude, when it was big, it was the biggest show ever, so. I
get that, and that's probably also ignorance on my part because I never watched the show. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like as soon as those last couple seasons were pretty bad, it seemed like it just kind of disappeared from the conversation real quick, whereas like,
I mean, they've got a show going right now called Game of Thrones.
They got a spinoff, right?
And they've got others in the works, and
that's true.
Yeah, people are loving that shit. So, let's see what else. Those were things I was concerned about. Also, is it too? Like, why can't we have Succession as a 1 seed?
I feel like it's too fresh. Like, do we put them just right out of? Straight out of the oven, right in there?
You know me, like I'm always down to just kind of like call the shot. Yeah, I don't know. Is it better to do it fresh off the 4th season where people still like remember what a great show it is, or do we have to wait and see? Yeah, if it has some
staying power, a little
some
bit.
Legacy. Yeah. Because I mean, Sex and the City has a new show now,
right?
And Curb is rebooted for like the 3rd time,
right?
So.
They've spent 20 years doing like 10 seasons.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing with The Leftovers. Like, I know that one has like a very strong following, but it was 3 seasons real quick, and it was very underwatched. Like, even to this day, not a lot of people talk about it, but
I mean, that's another reason I'm kind of trying to like make some room in the 2 seed, because like Leftovers is going to get killed at this point.
You think so?
And I can't have that, dude. I can't have Leftovers getting killed early in the draft.
I mean, Leftovers sitting pretty good at a 2 seed. Like, you're pretty comfy there.
What? That means there's only 1 round before the finals? Is that how that works?
No. Sorry. So this is seated like the NCAA bracket. So
okay.
We've got
now I understand.
Yeah, we've got at the top of our list all the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds. So the 1s will face the 16s in the first round.
Okay.
And then the 2s will face the 15s.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. I thought I sent you an image of like what the bracket normally looks like.
I always, dude, every year I need a re-explanation. Yeah.
I know. It's very convoluted, like most of the things here. But yeah, Leftovers will be sitting pretty at 2. Very rarely does a 1 through like 4 lose in the first round.
Okay, right on.
I think you can make a case for any of those 2s being a number 1, whether it's Game of Thrones, Succession, Leftovers, 6 Feet Under. I don't know. I think, again, like legacy or like brand impact, you think of HBO shows, I feel like those 4, Sopranos, Curb, Wire, and Sex of the City, are like the 4 mainstays. I could probably waffle. If I was gonna boot one, it might be The Wire, just because it doesn't have the legacy, or they never brought it back. I don't know why it's being punished for that, but
yeah, but it still has a legacy in terms of like people still revere it. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I hear about people going back to The Wire and Sopranos more than like 6 Feet Under or Deadwood.
Well, and you went back to Curb and didn't like it.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be honest, like, yeah, Curb sticks out to me because it, like, I always forget about Curb when I think about HBO shows. Like, when we were getting ready for this, I was making my list, and it took me so long to remember Curb, even though I like that show.
Right. Well, and if you look at that, like, all 4 of those shows came out like in the same era, so maybe we need some better representation, because I think they all ran in like early 2000s, right? Or premiered there. So yeah, maybe we need a current one. Game of Thrones,
yeah. Dude.
That makes sense.
So which one should we trade it for?
Now you convinced me that probably Curb. I mean,
okay.
Because it has...
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Curb's still sitting good in the 2 seed.
Right, and I can't punish Game of Thrones for a bad final season when Curb's not been great for a couple. And like I said, revisiting them, they haven't held up as well as I thought they might. So.
It was, to be fair, for Game of Thrones, it was too bad. Like, finally,
yeah.
But the last 2 seasons were bad. But,
okay.
But I still agree. Yeah, it's like... I've watched the first few seasons of that show like 3 times.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I guess, is there anything else that jumps out? Our tentative seeding so far? The other big discussion is always like shows on the bubble, like who's down there at 16 and below that's not getting in. And I don't know if any of them have a strong enough case to push in over our 16s. Our 16s right now consist of Hung, Vice Principals, which is our 3rd Danny McBride show in the tournament. Maybe that's a red flag right there. Ballers. Yeah, enough said with that. And then High Maintenance.
High Maintenance. I like that show.
Okay. So of those 4, that's the one you'd say, keep that one in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would. Vice Principals, yeah, we probably don't need 3 Danny McBrides, but you know, maybe let's see if... I think it would just be fun to have the Idol join the party. Just
right?
because,
yeah.
like... We have a history with the Idol now, like that. I want to continue that.
Well, that's
that
the thing too. It's like you don't want to just have things nobody's ever seen. You want to have familiar faces. So like everybody knows the Idol. Everybody knows, what was that? Vinyl, that bad Scorsese show that only lasted a season. Or
oh right,
there was a couple bad ones that HBO never got off the ground, but. Those would be easy 16s that would just be in there to lose. Luck, that was the horse racing show where I think they had, like, I don't remember, a bunch of horses die on set or something, so that one didn't last long at all.
Oh my god, that's terrible. The Rehearsal is I'm surprised that with your recent Nathan Fielder love, you're not putting Rehearsal in the game.
No, I can't revisionist history that. I still don't like The Rehearsal.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. I love that you're sticking to your guns on it.
Did you like The Rehearsal? I didn't know you actually watched that.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we put that instead of...
up, dude.
Maybe we put that in instead of Vice Principals.
I like that. For some reason, some of my most adored shows all ended up in the 8 seeds.
In the 8s, yeah?
Yeah,
So
Watchmen.
Watchmen, Westworld, Silicon Valley, House of the Dragon. Okay.
Right.
And I did, that was another kind of like eyeball test where I'm like, Watchmen was like up 90% or so average, but it's like, okay, you can't have it that high when it's only 1 season. You got to take it down a little bit, but.
Right. Yeah, because having 2 seasons and being at a 90% is like a pretty significant.
Yeah, you got to have the
thing.
Consistency in there.
I agree with that. I mean, there is some stuff that like, what is it, Deadwood, that got cut short, but like people are pretty like fanatic about that show. We do have that as a 3 seed.
Yeah, that's up there high.
So Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
Also, like not too many episodes, but
I think
Matt Browning
like
watches that like every year, and
there are a lot of people that watch that.
He's not the only one.
Yeah. Very popular, especially like historical community. Everybody references that as like one of the best war movies, TV shows, whatever. But I guess I don't know if I've revisited this list. Where did we leave True Detective? Does Night Country drop it? It is currently a 6 seed.
Does Night Country drop it?
I think so.
I think we need to get to our True Detective discussion.
Yeah.
Then. Right, so tell me all your racist thoughts about the series.
Yep, I did not like it. So immediately, I am a racist and a sexist, and I hate myself because
your team sucks, dude.
I didn't enjoy this. I did find it funny. You always talk about like this shouldn't be sports and like TV, movies, whatever. And when I was asking you about watching the finale, it sounded like you were like sports like you were giving sports analysis. Like, they really got to come through in the season finale because nobody's going to take them serious as a contender next year if they don't really pull their shit together here. They got to close, man. So did they close?
Well, Issa Lopez got a fifth season
she did.
greenlit. Yeah.
Did she close for you, I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah?
She did. Yeah, I liked it, dude. I liked it. But I made it clear from the beginning I wasn't looking at this as True Detective. And like, I think you can make a certain type of dude hate a lot of things by putting the words True Detective at the beginning of a title of a show. You know, they could have done that with Mayor of Easttown, and a lot of people wouldn't have liked that. So
I didn't realize True Detective was so specifically male. I mean, I guess all the main characters have been, but I don't know. I didn't realize there was this toxic masculinity around the show until they cast female leads.
Yeah, but that's been made pretty apparent now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I like that turns into that.
Yeah.
And
Fight Club's kind of been that recently.
Fight Club, definitely. Rick and Morty at a certain point became that type of thing, and that made me really sad. And I can like see why. I think it's people looking at that first season, which I read as more of like a critique of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Even though I think there are some parts where it kind of has its cake and eats it too.
Right.
I think a lot of people have just taken that and been like, yeah, you know,
right.
kind of looked at it the wrong way. Yeah, it makes me sad, dude. But I am like, I'm not trying to like force anyone to like Night Country.
Yeah.
I think I just am a little like, let's at least let it be its own thing and not like rank it against a completely different show, which because I just don't feel like it has not been made clear that like Issa Lopez, whether she really wanted to put the hints and like the tie-ins with True Detective in the show or whether it was just something she did to get the show made.
Right.
So I think that if it didn't have the True Detective name, a lot of people would be like way more okay with it than they are. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I like separated it pretty early on in my mind from that series, and maybe I was able to enjoy it more because of that, because like it is hard to, I mean, it's like, look at season 2 of True Detective. We were all thinking about season 1 when we watched that, and it made it suck, you know, because it's like, how do you compare to a really great, phenomenal season of television?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I felt there were things about it I liked, but I feel like the best way to just embody the experience of this show is the giant frozen naked pile of bodies that shows up in episode 2. Like that's what this felt like, just a mishmash of stuff. Like the supernatural elements didn't really seem to serve a ton of purpose. And yeah, the weird callbacks to True Detective with like the spirals and Russ Cole's dad like dated one of the, I don't know. It just didn't make sense.
Well, and then the ultimate in the finale.
Yeah, when he says the line, right. And yeah, I don't know. Some of the stylistic choices were a little goofy to me, like the weird, slow minor key songs that we always love. They do that with the Beatles' Twist and Shout and Save Tonight by Eagle Eye
Save Tonight, man.
Those were painful.
I'm not going to lie, dude. The music supervisor for the show should be fired. Like,
yeah, that was bad.
Shit was egregious.
Yeah, and did they ever explain the one-eyed polar bear? I still never got...
They didn't really explain the polar bear. They didn't totally explain the tongue.
Right.
There are definitely some loose ends that kind of stick out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I can't really disagree with anything you're saying. It just, for some reason, did not bother me that much.
Yeah.
I don't think it was perfect, and I did experience some of the same frustrations that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I was just like, one, really excited to see Jodie Foster again. I think that she's good most of the time. Sometimes the writing does like make the characters look kind of dumb just because there's some inexplicable stuff.
It seemed like they made her cuss so much. You just sound like a little kid sometimes. Like, you don't have to say fuck all the time, Jodie.
It's funny you bring that up because like I still to this day cannot like look at Jodie Foster without kind of seeing the kid actor Jodie Foster.
Right.
I don't know what it is, man, but she still does these things that are like, wow, you still are that same person.
Right.
Some of her mannerisms, but no, she was great. Who's the guy that plays the bad dad cop?
The bad dad. Yeah, he was good.
He was awesome. I want to look up his name. I know he's someone that like people know.
It's giving me the cast for season 2, like just as a fuck you as soon as I pull it up. You mean Vince Vaughn? No. You mean Colin Farrell? No.
Yeah, that's what it's doing to me too. All right, fuck it. I guess he's not getting his name mentioned. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, he was good though.
He was good, yeah. And Callie Reese, what'd you think of her?
She was good. I liked both of their performances independently, but I think the thing that I missed, again, comparing it to True Detective, like I missed the chemistry. I didn't feel like they played off each other as well as like Harrelson and McConaughey did, but
I agree.
You know, that's a pretty rare class of actors to be going one-on-one. When you said the one girl, like this is her first major role, so I mean that's a high bar.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think for like this being her first thing, I was just really impressed with that, and it was interesting to see someone that could clearly like make the fight scenes look a lot more convincing, because that's the world that she comes from as a boxer.
Right. Yeah. So we got to play the game everybody plays after True Detective ends. What's the dream pairing for season 5? Who are the 2 actors that need to be the cops in the next season?
Dang. Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah. Have him and Owen Wilson. That'd be great.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. Shit. That's so hard to do on the spot.
Yeah.
You got one?
I just like the people who I keep seeing people post like people who've worked together in other things and just completely out of context coming back to something serious like this, like Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans from Bulletproof.
Okay.
Or like I don't know if we're allowed to have him anymore, but Shia LaBeouf and the girl from Even Stevens.
Girl from Even Stevens.
Yeah, I thought it was Anne Hathaway, but then I looked it up and that's not Anne Hathaway.
Christy Carlson?
Yeah. Or you could do like an I Think You Should Leave season with Biff Whiff and Patty Harrison. That'd be good.
I like that.
He's got the Crashmore chops. Do you have any pairings, or should we go to... Oh, you got one? All right.
I've got one, yeah. Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. Get them back together, dude.
That's perfect. That would be great.
Because you know that, like, Tommy Lee Jones didn't enjoy hanging out with Jim Carrey at all. I don't know if, like, that bad blood would still be there. I think if it was, it would actually enhance the final product.
You need that tension.
Right.
That would be great.
I mean, that is basically the tension of like McConaughey and Harrelson in the first series. Right. It's like Woody's just like, who the fuck is this? You know?
You should do him like against type though, because Jim Carrey's become like crazy philosophical guy, and later in his career, have him be the hard ass, and Tommy Lee Jones is just goofball old man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like it.
That'd be great.
That would be.
All right, so you liked it.
I liked it. Yeah. I hope I didn't come off as like too harsh on people that I don't want to just assume that people are being assholes about it. I don't know. The culture war stuff has been so in my face lately,
it's
and I'm
toxic.
Just like, I mean, I obviously could see that the show had something to say about the treatment of like indigenous communities and stuff, which I do think is interesting, because they do the murder rates for those people, for women in those communities, is insane and it's inexplicable. But I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it as like, oh, this show hates men. Like I just wasn't getting that impression. So
no, the only time I got that was the finale when they round up the gang hunting all the scientists. I mean,
that's
then it's
weird.
like, okay. But
yeah,
I mean, again, I didn't not enjoy it because that happened. It was, you know, a myriad of other things. And again, even though you said not to rank it against the True Detectives, it was better than season 2. I mean,
no, that's fine.
Yeah, he can't really talk shit about it when he made season 2. Pazzaluto needs to cool out.
Man, and he's been like pretty bad about it.
Yeah, belligerent.
Yeah. But I guess if that's what he wants to do after, what was the last thing he did? What was that bad movie that he made?
I don't know. I know he's working on the Blade movie for the MCU.
Is he still working on it?
I think he was. Maybe he got...
Yeah, I don't think he's attached to the project anymore, as they say, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Here's what it is, dude. He wrote the screenplay for the Magnificent Seven movie.
Yeah, that's...
Did you ever see that?
That was pretty bad. Man, I thought Chris Pratt was going to be an actor then. I remember that.
That was the most disappointing part.
Yeah, that was the movie where I thought,
no, Chris Pratt is bad in this.
There he goes. He's just Chris Pratt. He's been revealed. All right. What was the other? Oh, yeah, Dune. That Dune movie's good, man.
Oh, thank God. I was afraid you were going to be like, I didn't like Dune either.
No, dude, I love Dune. I rewatched the first one just to reacquaint myself because it had been 3 years, I think, since the last one. But yeah, I know I'm like notorious anti part 1, part 2 movie guy. But this felt much more like just a traditional sequel. Like this felt like Empire Strikes Back, where the way that part 1 ended, it didn't feel like, I don't know, like a self-contained story. Like that felt like a montage stretched out into a full like prologue movie.
I'm curious though, if has 1 changed in your estimation at all after seeing 2? Because I mean, I'm someone that liked 1 a lot, but this movie kind of retroactively made 1 even better for me. Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but I'm not mad that it exists. Like, I think there's so much content in this series that, like, it's cool to see all that stuff fleshed out besides it being, like, a montage or something, you know? Like I said, seeing the depth and, like, everything acted out gives everything that much more gravity, like, building up to what happens in the second movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I like this a lot. I know we talked about Denis Villeneuve being like one of the best living directors, and I think he definitely like reaffirms that. I think this is probably my second favorite movie of his, right behind Blade Runner. So,
wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. It was great.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that.
Like, after Dune 1, I was kind of bummed that, like, oh, he's just going to do 2 more Dune movies? Like, I want him to do something else, and now I'm just ready for Dune 3. Like, I can't wait.
Well, I mean, best of both worlds. I think he said that he needs to take a break before Dune 3 and do something else. So.
Oh, is he? Okay,
yeah.
Well, there you go.
So I'm excited about that, because, yeah, I agree with past and present Ryan. Like I want to see him do other stuff, and also I want more Dune movies, and I want him at the helm because I think that's key. Even though I think everyone here is just on the same page for the most part with like just making this a really like grand story, because the Dune is dealing with so many big concepts like environmentalism and faith and political figures and just the nature of power and relationships in general. And like Hans just goes bigger than ever, I think.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer with his score.
Great.
Yeah. And it's just, man, I mean, we talk sometimes about scores being heavy-handed, but then at the same time, I'm like, what is it about like this? And only other example that honestly comes to mind is like The Shining is way over the top with its music a lot of the time, but it works so well to like tell you, oh no, these characters, like they're in danger, you should be worried for them. I get mad at movies for doing that a lot of the time, but then there's ways to pull it off, and Dune 2 pulls that off with like subtle filmic language, but then just like Hans Zimmer just doing the biggest baw, you know?
Yeah. Well, and there's so much depth to it.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I guess just as far as the story, the themes, the characters, and the music even. Like, it's not just a big synth hit. It's like the crazy bagpipes and the weird didgeridoo noise. It sounds like Crocodile Dundee. Like, there's so much going on that, like, it doesn't feel like this hollow attempt to just like elicit an emotion. It's all building and swelling organically. And like, I think there's so much of that in the movie, like everywhere. Like, it is just a giant, big special effects movie, but all the effects look so tactile, and like it has a physical presence on screen that it's just massive. Like, they do such a great job of capturing the enormity of everything going on.
I think that's such a good way to put it. It is kind of that way through all aspects of the film. Like, it does all feel so real and layered and thought out, and like the idea was like, let's build up all these ideas together, not we need something big, you know. It is easy to just go like the traditional or modern sound design route and be like, well, just make it hit hard as fuck.
Right.
But it just seemed like the first instinct in Dune, both movies, like every step of the way, is like, this needs to be original first and foremost, and we'll figure out how to make it like still slap or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been talking about that a lot lately, how I'm just starving for originality in sci-fi. And like this just, dude, I mean, moments like when the Harkonnen soldiers are out in the desert and they're searching around, and then they just start like floating up the side of a mountain a trail of ants.
That's like the first scene. Yeah.
Yeah. It hits you with that so early. And I'm just like having involuntary like vocal and physical reactions in my seat at the movie theater. Like, I'm just,
dude, I had the biggest smile on my face.
Yeah. I'm just ruined by it. Like, I just come undone, and I'm like publicly inappropriate.
I didn't think you were going to say undone there for a second.
Thank God I did. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine. But, like, I don't want people to look at me while I'm watching Dune 2.
Have you ever seen the David Lynch version?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love the David Lynch version. Yeah, I love every version of Dune. I love the books. I love the shitty television thing that they tried to do. It's all so good. I love Dune, yeah.
Yeah, I got to walk back my you can't split everything up, because looking at how they tried to cram everything into one Dune movie with David Lynch's version, and then seeing them allow these ideas to breathe throughout this series, it's like I almost have the reverse reaction where I'm like, would this have even been better as like a series? Like, if we got a whole season of all this stuff for each movie? But I also understand there'd be a lot of time to cover, but I don't know. It was great.
Yeah, I think we'd end up with too much minutia in that case. And part of what I love about these is that, like, yeah, they're like long movies, and he had to split the first book up into 2 parts, but it still moves at a clip. Like, it's fast.
Right.
They get so much done. And part of how they get shit done is by like focusing on what are the things that are going to build to these like big moments of thematic resonance, like the part with Paul in front of like the whole
the horde of like the South
Fremen community. Yeah, all the religious leaders, and like just being a prophet, you know, and like Timothée Chalamet. I think that might be my favorite scene of his, even though I think he's like just remarkable through the whole thing.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much power in it.
Yeah.
It's like it's building the whole time, and you don't realize it until it just like hits.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of like what Denis has been saying lately about like not thinking dialogue is a very important thing in in movies, which I know a lot of people are having a problem with. So like they eschew a lot of things that I didn't really even think about, but like they never really explain how the still suits work, for example. And the book, I feel like, spent pages explaining how the still suit works, which maybe that was essential for like what the book was going for, because it is this more methodical sci-fi.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they don't do that kind of stuff. Like, I think it would take so much more time. I think it would be a different movie if they got bogged down by that. I think it's just a smart move to say, like, we're just not going to really deal with this, you know? Like, even the Mentat thing, like, there's this whole thing where there aren't computers in the Dune world because there was, like, some agreement not to use computers or, like, guns. You'll notice they don't really... I mean, they fight with swords a lot more than they're fighting with guns, and there's just these differences and these things that they don't really explain in the film. I mean, the mentat thing is conveyed by like a character's eyes flicking into the back of his head, and he does this calculation really quick. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so smart. It's so economical.
Right.
You're using sci-fi tropes to your advantage by just like, well, you've seen something like this before. Like you can figure out what's going on without one of the characters being like, so the royal house has made a treaty not to use computers anymore, and now we have mentats who are people that can do calculations in their heads at the speed of It's like, okay, perfect. Like, I think Denis is so smart with that type of stuff. So I just wanted to rant about that for a second.
No. I mean, it kind of goes back to the whole dialogue thing. Like, it's that cliche of show, don't tell. Like, he does so well at doing that with just visual storytelling and not sitting you down and, like, explaining, okay, here's the good guys, here's why they're doing what they're doing. You're just kind of, like, dropped into this giant, expansive universe, and you're figuring it out.
Absolutely. And it's treating the audience with like respect and like acknowledging intelligence and ability to like put things together, which I always appreciate.
Yeah. I was surprised by how much I liked Austin Butler. I'd only ever seen him in the Elvis movie, and like he was really, really compelling as like the big villain, and just like, again, like kind of like you were saying, he doesn't have like these big monologues or anything, but just like his body language and the way like mannerisms he would, I don't know, just like move his face. He just looks so evil the whole fucking movie.
Unreal. And obviously they do a bit like he plays a Harkonnen character, and they all look like weird baby men for some reason.
He's like a demon sperm. Just these bald white evil.
Who was the alien guy who did the creature design for Alien?
Oh, yeah. Geiger? H.R. Geiger?
H.R. Giger. Yeah, he would love. Yeah, he would love the Harkonnens.
I'm also relieved at, like, it's obviously this big, epic sci-fi movie, but, like, there's so many cool moments where it's funny. Like, it's very grounded and, like, has big moments of humor that come through, which I think is a nice relief. It doesn't take itself too seriously all the time.
What's his name? Javier Bardem.
Yeah, he was great.
Bringing a lot of levity with that character who, it's funny, like, you have a completely different idea of him in the first film.
Well, and it's obviously, like, very, I guess it's not really as taboo as it used to be, but, like, the whole storyline around his character like wanting to believe in this savior, and like Zendaya and her friends are all just like openly mocking him the whole time, and it never feels like mean or bitter or anything. Like it's just this goofy dude and his beliefs, and he wants to believe. And even at the end when he like gets up and he's the first person to cheer on Chalamet, like he's still effective. Like you're not thinking, oh, that's just the goofball. Like you're thinking, this dude's ready to die for this. This is great.
Right. What was your theater situation for this? Just standard?
Yeah.
Standard screen?
It was actually like, I know we've talked to Eric, who is a projectionist in California, and when he moved or came back to Fort Wayne, he's like, all the theaters here suck. They're terrible. But surprisingly, the one I went to, like, was nice and loud, big screen. It was cool. It was a cool experience. I was glad. It definitely, I think, enhances the experience to see this movie on a big screen, which I usually roll my eyes when people say that, but I think I enjoyed this significantly more than if I would have just watched it at home on a laptop or something.
I mean, it's like the Nolan thing, you know? And I guess it's probably pretty basic to like compare them to each other, but I do think they're better in theaters. I think some people, like I was talking to one of my coworkers, and she was like, I wasn't the biggest fan of Dune 1, but I do think, you know, if you're going to see Denis movies, like you do need to see them in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't think I would quite go that far because I've watched Dune 1 like 100 times at home.
Right.
I love it. But yeah, man, I do think it is worthwhile to experience at least a couple times in theater. So I saw it in standard yesterday, and I'm going back for IMAX at some point.
Awesome.
For sure.
Nice.
Yep.
No, I am a little weirded out by the theater experience in general seems weirder after COVID. Like I've seen like 3 or 4 movies where people just like walk in their pajamas with blankets and stuff. And I'm like,
oh no,
I don't want you under the blankets with your significant other during this dark movie for 3 hours. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't like when people make public spaces into their bedrooms.
Yeah.
Unless they're, unhoused or something.
Right.
It's understandable, but...
When it's voluntary.
Yeah. Right. That's weird.
I forgot to tell you, when I went and saw Killers of the Flower Moon, there was this old dude talking to the guy next to him for the whole movie. So loud.
Oh, no.
Multiple people saying like, hey, shut up, man. Stop talking. And just didn't ever register with him at all.
Wow.
So
what are they
bad.
talking about?
Just like random shit in the movie. Like, oh, I wish I could find me a woman like that, and stuff like just
Oh, boy.
dumb stuff. It did get me once, though, because, like, obviously the movie's 3.5 hours long, and we're all sitting there, like, trying to get through this with these two guys that are just talking the whole movie. And finally he leans over, and, like, again, these guys are not, like, whispering. They're talking very loud. You're just, man, does this movie have an ending or what? And I got up to go to the bathroom at the same time the guy did, and he stopped me in the hallway and said the exact same thing. I was like, yeah, I heard you, dude. We all heard you.
Wow. Something going on there.
Yeah.
Give those guys their own room.
Right. But yeah, theaters are weird. What was your theater
Theaters
like?
are weird. It was cool. It was chill. I always go to this same one that's like a mile and a half from my place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I chatted with the bartender there for a little bit because I got there early. I was like, I'll have a beer before I go in.
Yeah.
And he was cool. Pretty good bartender.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
How bad was the beer? Like $8-9?
Oh, I never look.
No.
You just can't. If I'm in a situation where I just know I want to drink, then I'm gonna go for it. Why feel bad about it?
Yeah, no, that's fair. What do we want to do? Recommendations or just get straight to Kory?
Let's do them.
Okay.
I'll recommend the trailer for Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree.
You're recommending a trailer?
Yeah,
for a video game?
It's like the only way that I can make sure I talk about this thing the maximum amount, because I'm not going to get to talk about it until like June.
I was going to say, when's it come out?
So far from now. June.
At least it's this year. I thought you were going to pull a Grand Theft Auto and tell me like 2026 or something.
Dude, and this totally disrupts my most anticipated stuff of the year. I totally forgot about the Elden Ring DLC. Yeah, this is like...
Wait, so this isn't even a game? This is DLC?
But it's like a huge chunk, dude. It's probably going to be like 50 hours or something. Boy. It's like some of the hardest bosses. We're finally going to get to figure out what Mikola has been doing this whole time and how Melania and Mikola fit into the whole Elden Ring story. We're going to get a lot of answers to the Elden Ring story, which I've been thinking about for 3 years now. So yeah, it's a big fucking deal, Ryan.
Go ahead.
Go watch that trailer. It's cool. You're gonna get pumped.
I was thinking, video game speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Denis Villeneuve would make a badass Metal Gear Solid movie with Josh Brolin as Old Man Solid Snake. That would be sick. Dude. All the cool tech that he uses in his movies, I want to see that.
Hopefully that's what they're doing in between this and Dune 3.
Something small and yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think my recommendation is probably going to be the Idols album, Tank. I know it got a lot of blowback when it came out because they were pretty notoriously known as just the fast, punchy punk band. And this is very post-punk, almost like a modern day Talking Heads style stuff. And yeah, just really, really wild production tricks of falling in and out of tune, but still having really cool melodies. And yeah, it's really just something I've been revisiting a lot. I really like it. Maybe better than anything they've put out, which I've kind of surprised by. 5 records into their discography. I'm really digging it.
5 good records, I would say. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I didn't, judging by the Ben bar of "Don't embarrass me as a fan," Kanye stuff wasn't embarrassing. That new record isn't bad. He made a whole song.
Kanye hasn't embarrassed you.
Well, no, he didn't this time, is what I mean. At least musically. I still see pictures of him where he looks like one of the Harkonnen. Dressed in black leather and... But yeah, musically, he made a whole song out of a Dogma sound clip, so you got to respect that. That was great. That's probably my favorite song he's put out in the last 5-6 years. It's so good.
Wow.
And Freddie Gibbs is on it. Yeah. So my idol's recommendation turned into a Kanye recommendation. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, no.
All right, we'd like to welcome back to the show Kory Gregory, Prince Daddy and the Hyena frontman, and now he has a new solo project, Jophus, a debut full-length album. True Crime is out this Friday. So yeah, it's been probably a year or so since we talked last. You guys been pretty busy.
Yeah, we've been hitting it a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hit up Europe with the Menzingers.
Yep.
Kind of had a full circle moment after you talked to us about hosting house shows for the Hotelier. You got to play with them in Japan. I mean, what was that like?
It was great.
Yeah.
That was a great experience. Yeah. It was us, Oso, Origami Angel, and Hotelier. And I think it was everyone's first time doing that. So it was fun to share that experience with everybody. That was a lot of fun.
Do you have any kind of mountaintop moments of gratitude where you're looking around and I can't believe I'm here right now doing this with these people?
Every day.
Every day. That's
every time that moment hits me once a day at least.
That's good. Yeah. So I saw you guys went on the Coheed and Cambria cruise with Military Gun and stuff. How was that?
That was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that was fucking sick. Can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was never been on a cruise before either.
Yeah.
So be getting paid to be on one and to be able to play music for people on one, not just attending, which would also be sick, was insane. That was definitely a memory I'll remember for the rest of my life. And I think we're a cruise band now. I definitely want to try to do that whenever we can. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what's the atmosphere like that? Because you're kind of mingling with the fans all week, right? Or as long as the cruise was?
I mean, to an extent, but
yeah,
realistically, something tells me we don't have much overlap with Coheed fans.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And I think that's cooler because we got to play for a bunch of people who never heard of us before, probably.
Right.
But it's not like playing a show with Mom Jeans or Joyce Manor where if it was like that, there were people trying to say what's up. But really, it was just it was like I was attending a cruise, besides the fact that it was free and I get to play music a couple times a day. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's almost the better way, I would think. You don't get hassled or anything. Can kind of relax.
100%. Yeah. It was exactly what you'd expect of a cruise.
Was there any stops or anything?
Yeah, there was one stop. We went to the Dominican Republic.
Oh, cool.
They could get off if they want. And you had the day to do little activities or whatever. Us, Military Gun, and Mannequin Pussy were all at this just lazy river bar thing. It was sick.
So yeah, last time we talked a little bit about kind of overcoming the insecurities of sharing your music with other people. I feel like it's got to be a whole nother hurdle to be doing this solo project. So kind of what drove you into this endeavor to take on Jophus as your next project?
I feel like it's going to sound super cliche and predictable, but it's the truth. Realistically, what drove me to that was not having the ability to play with anybody else, but still want to write. It was during COVID when I wrote that all, during the peak of lockdown, not seeing anybody, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just the urge to stay creative and productive and just keep writing music and learning. And yeah. But that being said, it's definitely a little bit more scary.
Yeah.
Doing a bunch of stuff that I have no fucking idea how to do it, and just kind of trying my best and hoping for the best. And also, if something does suck, there's no one down the line that could possibly be to blame from an outsider. It's if something sucks. It's because of me.
Well, yeah, you I think mixed and mastered it as well too.
I mean, yeah, no one else did, but I did my best.
Yeah, it sounds really good, man. There's some cool creative swings, definitely some new sounds. You mentioned recording it or like writing a lot of it during lockdown. I thought I saw somewhere that you had to kind of re-record some of this stuff because some of the tracks were initially lost.
Yeah, initially it wasn't supposed to be like my name being the only name on the credits. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was just gonna be like, I'll write it, I'll produce it, whatever. I'll play the instruments I can, but other than that, like, I'll get someone to record it, like engineer it and stuff, mix it, master it, do the art, the record thing. I had Daniel, the drummer of PDaddy. He was like engineering it and like behind the computer doing that stuff. I was gonna have someone mix it, master it, but yeah, we got pretty deep into that, and then towards the end of it, we were like, it was when restrictions were kind of starting to let up a little bit, and we were like, let's just do a low-key tour. Like, there's no big shows, it's gonna be DIY stuff. We never played shows before, no full band stuff, just like me and you. We'll do it acoustic with some like synths, So we did that, and I brought the hard drives with the recordings on it.
Yeah,
that we were like 8% done with. This is 100% on me. I didn't back it up anywhere.
Yeah,
that's on me 100%. I take full responsibility for that. But yeah, my backpack got stolen.
Oh,
every last bit of it. Thankfully, I still had like bounces of like demo. Like, I didn't forget how the songs went or anything.
Oh,
I still have
good. Yeah.
And yeah, that kind of sucked. At that point, I was just like, I recorded demos of these. We recorded a record that got stolen. Like, I've done this so many times. Like, at this point, let's just say fuck it, and I'm gonna just figure it out and do it. Just like, I'm gonna start from scratch with these songs, do it all myself, and whatever the outcome is the best I can do. Like, that's what it is, and that's part of the record, because I didn't want to go through going to a studio or whatever, like setting everything up, like hiring people, whatever. I didn't like. It was just like, let's just do. I'm gonna try this, see what happens. I guess it's kind of an act of defeat. It's a response to feeling very defeated. Like, fuck this, man, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Was it tough to even push yourself to re-record stuff? Was there a part of you that was just like, it's lost to time?
Yes, it 100%. That's why. And I wrote these songs like 3 years ago at this point, probably, or 4. Yeah, there was part of me that was like, these aren't relevant to me anymore. Like, should I just move on and like Frankenstein the best parts of these songs into something else? Like into another record.
Right.
But then I started writing more songs, so I was like, you know what? I'm writing songs anyways. Let's get these songs done. I was like, I had some time off. Let's just fucking make this record, mix it, master it. Whatever's done, whatever sucks, it sucks. I just want these songs to be in the past, not in like a bad way, not in like I don't fuck with these songs anymore. But I'm done with wondering like what the outcome of this is. Like, I just want to do it.
Just kind of get closure on the whole experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right on. So
I listen back and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad we have it. That's awesome, man.
Right
it's fun to listen to. You definitely did a lot more electronic stuff with this, obviously, than PDaddy. And this might just be like my own bias, but was there kind of like some video game music influence there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, during COVID, everyone was going through crisis. My crisis was like, the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, my whole living is based off of getting hundreds of sweaty people close together in a room. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
What the fuck is going on? So I started like diving more into like film scoring and video game like scoring to picture, like scoring to visual. Yeah. Because that's also like, I'm pretty passionate about movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I started getting into that, and this record was definitely a reflection of. I think that shows.
Yeah.
You gave me like whatever, like cinematic stuff, maybe. Yeah.
Right. Is that something you'd be interested in trying to do in the future? Trying to score something?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the end goal. After I'm too tired to be rocking out, is to sit down on a computer and write songs for like a horror movie or something.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
That'll be the goal.
Who are some of your favorite traditional rock or pop musicians who have kind of made that pivot to doing soundtracks?
First one that comes to mind is Danny Elfman.
Right, yeah.
He was a big inspiration for me, is currently. Obviously stuff like more current stuff like Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Tom York, he did like the new Suspiria, I think. He started dabbling in that, and I don't really remember it, but I think I remember liking it. The score. Yeah, as far as that kind of like pop rock, like guitar music to film music, those are some of the highlights. But for me, like the thing that got me into film music was probably the main thing was John Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he ever did any rock like guitar stuff.
I think later, like what was that Ghost of Mars, which wasn't a great movie, but actually has a really cool soundtrack.
I've never seen that movie.
It's pretty wild. I think Ice Cube's the main guy in it.
Yeah.
But
how old is that?
It's like very 2002.
Right on. Ghost of Mars?
Yeah, the music is pretty dope though.
Damn, I'm gonna add that to my list. I like bad movies too.
Yeah, you'll like that one.
Like John Carpenter's early work, like hit like not even early, but I guess like pre my existence.
Yeah.
is very inspiring to me. Just like him composing music for his own movies and the sounds he used and stuff. Like that's what inspired me to get my first synth.
Yeah.
And now like that's all I spend money on now is synths.
Yeah. Is there any ambition to tour the Jophus record?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like a daunting task because I've never really toured off of anything besides PDaddy in the past almost decade.
Yeah.
And it took so long to get here. And obviously I know it's not going to touring off of another band. It's not just going to be like playing my first Jophus tour with shows the size of a PDaddy show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't carry over like that as much as one would think from the outside. But that one tour we did, the one where my shit got stolen, was all house shows. Like probably the biggest show we played was to less than 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great time.
Yeah.
Besides the backpack getting stolen.
Right.
We had a great time. And but it's just daunting. I don't have an agent or anything. Like trying to book that stuff would be like taking my quote unquote downtime to like start over.
Yeah.
Which I'm in the process of doing, but it takes some push, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah.
It's almost like a whole nother job. Well, it is a whole nother job. I mean,
right.
Well, yeah, we were talking about movie scores. Of course, Trent Reznor has been a big one, shifting to movies. He got to do the new Ninja Turtles. I know you're a big fan of that.
Big fan.
Yeah, so was that your favorite Ninja Turtles movie? Mutant Mayhem?
It's surprisingly up there. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite movie. I would say the first two live action movies.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think, even if like a masterpiece of a film comes out under the Turtles name, I don't like, it's just like a piece of it's in my DNA, those movies. Like I can recite them back. Who I am is those movies, you know, regardless of quality.
For sure. Did you ever get into those early Nintendo video games for the Ninja Turtle series?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The arcade game and Turtles in Time.
Yeah, Turtles in Time was great.
Turtles in Time is like top 5 games of all time for me.
Yeah. Have you played the new what is it, Shredder's Revenge they just came out, which is kind of like a throwback?
Yeah, I actually have it. I haven't played like an actual console version, but they have like, I think it might be like a stripped down version. I have it on my phone.
Oh, gotcha.
That one came out. That one, I was just like, this would be a fun thing to have in the van, you know?
Yeah.
Because it rocks. I might as well get it. And it does rock. It's great. Did you play it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It definitely has the Turtles in Time vibes for sure.
Yeah, I like that game a lot.
Yeah, and there's something about it where like even though it's only so many levels and you're just like side scrolling, like I can just play it again and again. Like
same with Turtles in Time. Like a session of me playing Turtles in Time would be me beating me front to back beating the game and then wake up the next morning and beat it. You know?
Right. It doesn't get old.
No, not at all.
No, and I know you're a big Sonic fan. Those kind of have the same qualities, just the whole audio visual component. Like it's just fun to get back in that world.
Yeah, and there was also a game had the same appeal as Shredder's Revenge with Sonic, like probably like 5 years ago, called Sonic Mania.
Yeah, that was tight.
Yeah, I loved that game. That's the only game I have on my Switch currently.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania. Yep.
It's a lot of fun. I've been holding off getting the DLC. I probably should because I just keep playing the regular stuff over and over again.
DLC.
Yeah, I think you get Knuckles and Shadow maybe. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, and it's only like $4.99 or something silly. I don't know why I hesitate on it. Are you a fan of those movies at all?
I actually am.
Yeah.
It's probably like a cringy ass thing to say, but I watched the first one and was so pleasantly surprised. And yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised that I watched the second one and also enjoyed it.
Gotcha.
And I'm excited for the third one. I see
Yeah.
some shadow action in the trailer,
Yeah, for sure.
like a promo or something. Yeah,
No, it looks tight.
but no Big the Cat action. What the heck?
Yeah, they've got to hold something for the next one.
Fair.
Now, are you a big fan of like biopics or music movies at all?
I would say every time I watch them, I have a good time, but I'm not like too rounded in that area. I feel like while we were making the second record, Prince Daddy's second record, we were all like crashing together. Like there was like an apartment above the studio that we were staying at, and I could be wrong, but in my head, in my memory, every single night we would watch the Oasis doc,
Oh yeah,
and it was fucking awesome. Like that was like a big inspiration for us. Not even their songs,
yeah,
but just like in the studio watching that movie we just watch it. We had like I think we had a projector or something that every night we just like, all right, time to call it for the night. Let's go upstairs and make a sandwich and watch the Oasis doc, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I definitely like that. Yeah, I feel like I'm not well rounded. Like, what are some of the? Give me some highlights, and I'll tell you if I've seen them.
I mean, I'm more into kind of like you were saying, the documentary style. I just saw the news that they're planning on making 4 Beatles movies, one on each member, and it's like a big Hollywood production, and that just seems kind of
Oh,
weird.
the Beatles movies are like reenact, like it's actors.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
Sam Mendes, the guy who directed American Beauty and Skyfall. So there's going to be like a Beatles Avengers event, basically, where they all get their own movie and then they come together.
That's insane. I mean, actually, I don't even know if this falls into the same category as what you're talking about, but the Weird Al movie with Harry Potter in it.
Yeah. That wasn't bad. Are there any bands you think would make for a good like Hollywood movie? Like, do you want to see a Green Day movie someday?
Yes, but I also I don't know what it would be. Like, I guess like there was talks like when it first came out of like how they did the American Idiot play.
Oh yeah.
How do I play? There was talks when it first came out that they were gonna like make a movie instead before the Broadway play was ever a thing, and I was excited for that. But I feel like that doesn't really fall into what you're saying. But I guess like when I watch a movie, I'm like watching like Star Wars and shit, and like what band has like a trajectory that is as like worthy of film, like
Right.
cinematic experience that like you hire actors and stuff. Like there's very little, and if there is, I probably know nothing about them. Like my favorite bands are the ones that are pretty normal people, like Green Day. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what's that movie gonna be like? It's gonna be a boring ass movie.
Yeah, I saw you were doing a series of TikTok covers to try and get Green Day's attention. Did that lead anywhere? No? Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Like, you know what? They got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. So have you settled with where Saviors ranks in your Green Day catalog?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's probably 6.
6? Okay.
6. Yeah. I think it's better than anything post American Idiot.
Yeah, I think that was Ben's consensus as well when we talked to him about it.
That's kind of where I stand. And we listen on this last tour we did. Everyone in the van was getting real pissed off at. I mean, when I say everyone, I mean like 2 people were getting pissed off. It was like 4 of us only listening to Green Day.
Yeah.
Whole discography probably twice. So I think I'm pretty like certain of where I stand.
I think if we recap from last time, that means you got Insomniac 1, Nimrod 2, Warning 3. I don't know if we got 4 and 5.
Dookie American Idiot.
Dookie American Idiot. Okay.
Honestly, Dookie and American Idiot kind of go back and forth in 4 and 5. Those two.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Insomniac number 1 for sure.
Yeah. I did see that they're playing American Idiot and Dookie in full this tour because of like, I think it's the 20-year anniversary and the 30-year anniversary, both for those records.
Kind of dope.
Yeah. Are you going to try and make it out and see him?
Yeah, probably. I don't know which. I don't have like a plan or anything yet, but I plan on at least going to a show because I also they're doing both records front to back, which is kind of crazy. That alone is probably like 2 hours, something like an hour and a half. But they also said like they're doing like a 45-minute like deep cuts slash greatest hits set, like of
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I might drop some money on a show like that for my favorite band.
Yeah, for sure. I was worried, it's like you said, when they announced that they were doing both those records in full, I was like, are they even going to play Saviors on this tour? Or
Right. That's like a long set by itself. But yeah, they said they were gonna. So I was like, you know what? That sounds fun. And also Rancid's playing. I like Rancid a lot.
Yeah, Rancid. I think Smashing Pumpkins too. Even though
Yeah.
they had like a weird, I think like open tryout for their guitarist position, so I don't know how that went. So yeah, you talked about mixing and mastering this record on your own. Do you have any ambitions to do that for anybody else, or was this kind of just a means of getting your music out there?
I do. I would love to do that. I would love to have that little, like while I'm home gig. I guess maybe like mixing and mastering, but like producing.
Gotcha.
Like come to my space or I go to them or whatever and help with the creative process. I feel like mastering was definitely like for me at least the least creative part and more like a technical like making sure it works. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Whereas I think a cool like at home gig to have would be producing, recording. That's my favorite part of being in Prince Daddy even is that part of the process.
Yeah.
Is the like creative post writing, pre recording parts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So tracking, kind of figuring stuff out.
Stuff out, arrangements, stuff like that. Yeah, that is very rewarding and satisfying to me.
Right. So it's kind of like the driving force of both Prince Daddy and Jophus. Is there like a line of delineation where those two worlds don't intersect, or are you pretty comfortable with having them overlap?
I thought about this before and I didn't come to a conclusion. I don't really have a good answer for you.
Yeah.
That it's a completely valid question and I don't really have like an answer. I think it's just like where I am at that time, what feels most like yeah, it's just kind of like this one was obviously a result of literally being forced to
Right.
not. But next time if I make another one, it might be I might do it like this again, or I might like go full like maybe I'll just sing and play guitar and everyone like you know what I'm saying. I might have like a ensemble cast of musicians and engineers, like people mixing it. But
Yeah.
I think I think probably I can tell if I'm writing a song where it belongs,
Gotcha.
even on a more like specific, like zoomed in sense. Like even for Prince Daddy, like if I'm writing songs right now, there'll be songs that I'm writing, and even though like this next record I'm writing is the next thing we're writing, I'll be like, that's not for that record. I don't think, like I think I get 30% into writing a song, and I think I probably know where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Does having this offshoot kind of give you some freedom to be like, I don't have to meet all the Prince Daddy criteria. I can be as weird as I want to be and experiment a little more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I try not to think that way with Prince Daddy either.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, like that stuff will find its way in,
Hmm.
Like maybe you should repeat this chorus again.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, like little stuff. But yeah, that was definitely like not a goal, but like a result of this record that I'm super stoked on is that I don't feel like there's like even two songs that sound like each other on this. So like an expectation for a second Jophus record would be whatever, like it could
Yeah.
just be a hodgepodge of nothing, and it wouldn't be me like alienating anybody.
Right, right, for sure. And judging just purely off song titles, I mean, you've got Adult Summers Part 3 or Something Special. Like, it seems like this kind of does align with the Prince Daddy canon in some form.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also like responses to like lyrics and stuff. It's definitely like it's the same person writing the songs. Either way you look at it.
Right. It's very
So
adjacent.
Yeah. In the single I Hear Chimes, there's also like a line about like, for once I feel adored by a son, which is a response to like, we have a song called like about being the adorer of the sun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on
There's
self-titled.
Yeah. It's definitely like a shared universe. It's like the MCU.
Right.
It's like the Beatles. It's like the Beatles cinematic universe.
Exactly. Eventually you're going to have 4 projects that all converge into this giant thing.
Right. And also, I like Daniel's been working on a record too, and there's like another interpretation of Something Special
Oh, awesome.
that he's been thinking about putting on. That's same song, but like his interpretation, and it's just like the extended universe, the extended family. I feel like it's like unrelated stories from the same.
Kind of like an anthology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not even intentionally, just it's the same people making the music, and I don't think anyone's trying to hide from that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a cool carryover to have that through line of your stuff too. It makes it fun and kind of engaging.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it too. I like seeing if anyone picks up on little Easter eggs and stuff, you know?
Right. I think my favorite production song, like altogether on this one, is probably When Did You Stop? It just sounds so different, but it does sound similar to kind of like your style. Like you said, you can tell whose voice it's being written in, but it does sound so different from everything else.
Yeah, I would say that's probably like fundamentally probably the most Prince Daddy song on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite on it yet?
I think my favorite would probably be the last track, I Hear Chimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that might be up there with like the songs I'm most proud of that I've written.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have like a tendency to lean towards closers? Because I find myself really liking album closers a lot of the time.
Yeah. You mean like as a listener?
Yeah,
when
I feel like that's a big significance. Like if an album has a good closer, I leave like 99% more satisfied than if the rest of the record bops and the closer doesn't do much for me.
100%. I think I definitely look forward to that the most. So it has the most potential to let me down and the most potential to like make the record twice as good as I thought leading up, like for the first 9 songs, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that has the biggest impression on me is how the record ends, for sure.
Do you have like a gold medal stand of like who your favorites are? I'm sure FOD is probably up there.
FOD is up there. What's Her Name's up there.
Yeah.
Only in Dreams was a huge one. Weezer.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot, man. I feel like writers who know how to write songs / a record, I think they know the significance of that. You know, like I feel like it shows how much they care about a project based on that song and the opener, honestly. And I feel like, those are usually the heavy hitters. Not like the hits, but like just like the impactful, like stay with you forever songs usually are like the beginning and the end of a record.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah, I think the only thing I was going to circle back to was last time we played the either or game, and you said pretty decisively that you took Billy Madison over Happy Gilmore.
I stand by that 100%. I just watched that the other day.
Yeah.
Both, yeah.
That's still number one. I was going to say Happy Gilmore, I think I'm more in that camp, but they're both pretty timeless.
Yeah, I don't think either answer's wrong, but like I said, like it's like with like Ninja Turtles, like that's just I grew up with that. I know every word to it.
Yeah.
Half of my sentences I use throughout the day are Billy Madison quotes.
What's your Adam Sandler top 5 look like? I'm sure those are 1 and 2.
Billy, Happy. I'm gonna get so much shit for this. Well, no. 3, Big Daddy. I'm gonna get so much shit for this. Little Nicky.
No, I love Little Nicky. That's great.
Love that movie. And I'm not counting Uncut Gems. That doesn't count.
Why not?
I don't like it. That's not a Sandler.
I mean, he drives that thing.
That's like a.
Who else can you imagine doing that though?
No one.
Right.
If that does count, then that would probably be like between Big Daddy and Little Nicky.
Okay, gotcha.
But if it doesn't, then probably Waterboy.
Okay, that's respectable. Yeah. That's valid. All right. Well, yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before we get you out of here? Jophus True Crime comes out March 8th. Counterintuitive Records.
Yeah. Listen to True Crime. March 8th. Damn, that's not far away, is it?
No, a couple weeks. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Listen to that. Follow us. See if maybe we'll announce a tour soon. Who knows?
Awesome. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course. I appreciate you. Thank you.
For more, visit internetkilledthevideostore.com.